Hi.
Alright, so when I tried to decide what I was going to do for this assignment, I asked myself, what's most important to me besides my family? And after about 5 seconds, that answer is easy. It's baseball. If there's anything in my life that's important besides my family, it's baseball. And right here is the gravel from Game 6 of the World Series in Yankee Stadium from 2003, which ends up being the last World Series game ever played there, since the Yankees are closing their stadium tonight. But anyway, my point being that baseball has been an important part of my family tradition for over 80 years. My grandpa grew up in New York City in the 1920s, and he was actually fortunate enough to see Babe Ruth play, who many consider the greatest player of all time. As he grew up, he met my grandma in the 40s, and he made her memorize the players' names, and he would give her the numbers of the players, and she would have to tell him what players they were. And then my dad came along in the 50s, and he naturally became a Yankees fan. And I remember him telling me stories about how he would go with his cousins to the Yankee Stadium, and they would go and catch foul balls, and his cousins would dive over seats and punch people in faces and stuff like that. And then I remember one of the key stories that he told me is that in 1960 the Yankees were in the World Series against Pittsburgh Pirates, and a guy by the name of Bill Mazeroski hit a home run to eliminate the Yankees from the World Series. And I remember my dad, he was 7 years old, and he said that he actually took his baseball card and ripped it up and was crying and flushed it down the toilet. So to say that baseball is important to my family is probably an understatement. It's not really just a game, it's a way of life. And then when I came along in the late 1980s, or mid-1980s, I'm from Fort Lauderdale, so the Marlins came into existence in 1993, so naturally I was 7 years old and I had a team to then root for. So my dad would take me to games, and we would play catch, and I played Little League and stuff like that. So baseball, growing up, it just became like a way of life to me, just as it did for my dad and his dad, 3 generations into our family. And not only just my direct grandpa and my dad, but our entire family is just absurd Yankee fans. But like I said, I became a Marlins fan, and that's the interesting thing about this is that the Marlins actually played the Yankees and beat them in 2003. So, it has a big influence on my family, and like I said, 80 years back, that's a lot of history and that's a lot of culture. And I think one of the greatest things about baseball, and I tell people this when they're saying, oh, I don't like baseball, it's boring, but I think the thing to take from baseball, or one of the things, especially if you're a novice and don't really know much about it, is that baseball is the only professional sport without a time clock. In basketball and hockey and football, there's quarters and time expires. But in baseball, you could be down by 10 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 outs and 2 strikes against you, and your team could come back and win. And it says a lot, because it taught me essentially not to give up on anything, because no matter how far out you are of anything, you can never give up, just because there's no time limit. You can do what you want to do. So that's the biggest thing for me in baseball. And the other thing was teamwork. Especially in my major's digital media, a lot of it is working together in teams and groups and stuff like that. So, you could accomplish a lot more as a team than any one person can do by themselves. So, that's why I really appreciate baseball, and it's been an important part of me. And I think if people actually took the time and could appreciate the game for more than just a game, that would do a lot of people or it would really make people think and appreciate maybe baseball a little more than what's given for that. And to close it out, I just thought it was really interesting as talking about my family and how deep into baseball we went. My grandpa passed away in 2006, and at his funeral, my dad's cousin actually wore his Yankees hat, and it was funny because nobody said anything. It wasn't disrespectful. It was like, you're a Yankees fan, so my grandpa probably would have appreciated that.